Welcome, welcome. I am so excited about this topic because it is one of those things that absolutely raises the bar as far as how you set up your firm and also how you serve your clients. And before we do anything else, I want to acknowledge you because I know you're busy taking care of your clients, doing the things to be operational. And you took time away from working in your business to join us today, to work on your business, getting those advanced moves, those insights that once again will put you squarely on the path to having a highly profitable firm that actually supports your lifestyle instead of one that drains the life out of you. Today's topic is how to develop a highly profitable niche for your accounting firm. 1997. That is the year that Priceline came onto the internet, and it changed the entire travel industry and how we now are able to book travel. And we don't need that travel agent any longer because that it was very, very disruptive. The reason I'm sharing about that is because I see the accounting industry going in a similar direction with technology, AI coming on, people offshore being able to work with people that they didn't have access to before. So it's really changing how firms are being able to do business, how they want to position themselves in order to remain relevant, as opposed to a firm of yesterday. We want you to be a firm of the future. So once again, technology, 1997 when Priceline changed everything. And this is the changes that accounting professionals are going through right now as well. If you find that you're not sure how to differentiate your services from others that offer something similar, so you remain price competitive, possibly you don't have the right words to communicate the value of what you do, and it doesn't really translate into how client-centered you are, or you are simply accepting everybody that breathes and willing to pay your fees, and you realize that some of those clients give you headaches. If any of those things apply to you, then you are absolutely in the right place. Steve, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Wow, finally. Hey, I'd love to. So hi, my name's Steve Fogelman. As you can see by the last name, Loren and I are related. We have been married for quite a while and working together for as long as I can remember, actually. I'm going to be your co-host. I'll be working the chat, and I'll also be getting any questions that you put into the chat over to Loren. And we're going to be doing some poll questions. And when we're doing those polls is a great time to go ahead and get me a question. And I'm a therapist turned business coach. Loren, back to you.
Thank you. And also, I love knowing who's here. So please, in the chat, feel free to introduce yourself, what you do, where you live. Would love to know who is joining us today. A little bit about me, if we are meeting for the first time, is I'm a sports psychologist turned business coach. And what I have seen is that there are a lot of similarities. And some of the things are that might be a little different between athletes that are really looking to be at the top of the game versus growth-minded firm owners is that, first of all, we wear slightly different uniforms. Athletes are aiming for different numbers than business owners are. And the third difference is right from the get-go. As peewees, athletes are having someone that is mentoring them, training them, coaching them, giving them insights and pointers on how to have their peak performance as quickly as possible. Whereas firm owners, we absolutely love serving our clients and helping them, but asking for help ourselves is a little bit more difficult because that we sometimes feel like we're in a silo as we're figuring things out ourselves. Yes, it's possible to have your dream firm doing it that way, but it might take you a little bit longer to get that result. And as you can see, I have been listed as one of the top 22 business coaches by HubSpot, and that is my Amazon #1 bestseller, The Success Solution. The way out is, imagine someone that is just getting started working with you or just reached out to you for that initial consultation. And this person is in a cave, and the cave is pitch black dark. If you've ever been in a cave without the lights on, you cannot see your hand 1 inch in front of your face. It's that dark. And what happens now is this business owner is in the cave, it's extremely dark, and then you come with the flashlight on the back of your phone, lighting up the way, illuminating the whole room in that cave and showing them the way out. And that is really what it is that your clients deeply value from you is that you have the flashlight to show them the way out of their financial mess, or how to have the way forward with the path that they want to go on. So think about that for you, is if you were to have that flashlight and you were helping your clients out of the dark, what would that look like for you? And how would you say things a little bit differently in order for them to realize that you have those resources, solutions, and insights that they so desperately need in their business? What we're going to cover today is your profitable niche. Then we're going to move into communicate your value, and then there will be client attraction as we wrap up. And a couple of people have introduced themselves in the chat. Thank you so much. We have Laura Walsh from Discovery Bay, California, and then Michelle Day from Dublin, California. Boy, we have a lot of Californians here today. Anybody else want to go ahead and introduce themselves? Please put that in the chat.
We also have Laura Walsh. She's also from California.
Yeah, absolutely. We're California strong today. And I will actually give you as much as I possibly can in our short period of time together today. If you feel like you would connect, like to have a further conversation, I will show you how to be able to do that as we wrap up.
Well, Loren, what are the steps to increase income without working additional hours?
Well, this is right from the Raise Your Rates formula that I created for the accounting professionals that I work closely with. And I simply want to give you the essence of those 5 steps, because even if you take the intention and then start to apply it, you will go ahead and raise the bar as far as the level of services that you offer and the type of clients that you will be working with. So the very first one is high value clients. And that is because in the beginning, as you know, you are saying yes to everybody who breathes and is willing to accept your fees. What we want to do is be very intentional, realizing that some clients are a joy to work with, and some clients, as soon as you get a communication from them in your inbox, it just throws off your entire day because they give you headaches and they stress you out. So once we become more aware of who those high value clients are, their qualities, what it is that they care about, then we can be more intentional in attracting similar clients to our firm to work with. And that goes right into step number 2, which is communicate your value. Once we know more about those high value clients and what they care about, then that affects the messaging and what we focus on when we are looking at what to put in our Pro Advisor profile, what you put on your website, your social media posts. When you go to a networking event and someone asks you what you do, you're able to have those right words that grab their attention and have them wanting more. Step number 3 is packaging your services. Packaging your services is really about looking at that website for accounting firms where you go to the services page and you see this long laundry list of all the different a la carte services that they could be doing. The AR, the AP, the I'm just losing my train of thought. Being able to get everything categorized correctly. All those things absolutely do matter. However, they might not really understand how it applies to them or why it matters. What you do is you start to take that long list of services and bundle them together in order to meet the needs of different clients at different levels in their businesses. And as a result of that, it is the first step to start separating your fees from time. And then number 4 is value pricing. This is where you're moving away from charging for your time, whether it's an hourly rate or fixed fee, into pricing the client and looking at value from the client's point of view and how to come up with rates based on that. As a result of that paradigm shift with how you look at your fees and of how to apply them, you're able to actually earn 2 to 3 times more than if you do the traditional hourly rate or fixed fee. And then the last one is consultation mastery. If you don't like the sales part, you don't want to pressure someone, you hate the objections because it feels confrontational, and you love pleasing people and it feels like pushback, then you want to have what I call a value conversation, where you're asking great questions. As a result of the questions that you're asking, they naturally see the benefits of engaging your firm's services instead of moving in another direction. And at the end of the conversation, they will naturally ask, how do we work together? How do we get started? So those are the 5 steps of the Raise Your Rates formula: is high value clients, communicate your value, package your services, value pricing, and consultation mastery.
Great, Lauren. I love that formula. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to be looking at your profitable niche or niche, however you want to call it. So you have an ideal client. I work with everyone. I serve several industries. I've defined my niche or my niche. Once again, do you have an ideal client? I work with everyone. I serve several industries. I've defined my niche. And this is a great time, like I said before, if you do have a question for Lauren, please go ahead and put that into the chat, and I will be sure to get that question over to Lauren. So once again, do you
Steve,
have
I
an
just want to
ideal
acknowledge
client?
some other people in the chat who introduced themselves.
Absolutely, sure.
We now have the Florida contingent. Rachel's from St. Pete.
I
Rich
saw
is from
that.
Tampa. And then Althea's in
Mhm.
North Carolina. Adrienne is in New Jersey. We have Maddie in New York City. Melissa in Pennsylvania, and Prashant, I am not sure, in Michigan, and
Michigan.
Dave from Atlanta. So we are pretty well represented, especially on both sides of the coast. We need a little bit more in the middle, like where is Texas? So
I did see New York and New Jersey, so that's
yeah,
really...
absolutely.
Anyway, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the poll.
Cool.
So I work with everyone is 27%. I serve several industries as 47%, and I've defined my niche or my niche, however you want to call it, as 27%.
Excellent. And I'm just curious, if you want to drop what industry you do serve, if you said that you've defined your niche or that you serve several industries, go ahead and please let us know what that is. Feel free to put it in the chat. You never know. Look, I attract a certain type of person. You all took time away from your business. You never know where a connection might show up. And this is a community where we all lift each other together. So feel free to put in the chat what industry you serve.
And also in the chat would be great if you would put in your experience with marketing and communicating your value, because that's something we can certainly help you with. Yes. So Lauren, it seems easy. This slide that we're looking at is about mindset, but what keeps firm owners from defining their niche?
Well, I will let you know, it was a process for me as well. I didn't know that I was going to be focusing solely on accounting firms, whether you're a bookkeeper, a tax preparer, CPA. I didn't know that that was what I was going to be doing when I first started moving in this direction in 2009. And what I realized is that it is a process. Even when you're looking for one, it is still a process, which we'll start to go into and talk about in this particular section. But we get in our own way. It took me quite a while to be able to be very specific and really take my stand with who I work with and what I do for them. And I want to just say that to yourself. If you've been beating yourself up for not having one, be gentle with yourself. It took me quite a while as well. And then I actually straddled marketers as well as accounting professionals for maybe another 3 or 4 years before I really went ahead and made the commitment about 4 years ago with accounting firms. So we overthink it. Part of what we think about is that I might lose clients if I focus on a particular industry or niche. Also, that I don't feel comfortable charging more for my services. Maybe I don't have enough experience or credentials in that particular industry. I never worked in it myself. Another one might be that, who am I to declare myself an expert? And possibly someone over here in this other industry, I know I can help. And what if they don't realize that I can help them because I'm focusing on this one over here? Steve, were there any others that you wanted to add that you think you thought about?
Yeah, there's one that's it's about they're afraid that they're going to lose interest and become bored, that there won't be enough variety if they decide to kind of narrow it down into these niche. But I don't think any of those things are really true.
Excellent. Thank you for bringing that in. I absolutely think so, especially if you're someone that loves variety. You need a lot of different things going on to keep your attention focused. I absolutely hear what you're saying, but I wouldn't let that stop you from really being more selective.
Well, Lauren, as a pricing expert, you're helping accountants, professionals, accounting professionals, double their income and working half the time and reducing their workload. So what's something that increases their revenue?
Well, I think that really looking at moving away from being a generalist where you know a little bit about a lot of different industries and you have clients in a wide range of industries, which means that you're not actually being as effective or efficient with your time because, as you know, someone in construction is going to need different things than someone that might be in hospitality. And as a result of that, I would say moving in the direction of considering how to position yourself as an expert will have you start to stand out and get noticed. Now, there's actually two different things to think about is the specialist. Do you want to be a specialist? Do you want to have a niche? And that they're both complementary, but a little bit different. And I believe I will be going into that a little bit. Oh, you know what? Let me answer that now, actually. So if you're thinking about specialist and niche, they might sound the same, but they're different. Niche is who you serve. So that could be that you are serving dog groomers, or maybe people that have food carts in the restaurant industry, or possibly people that are in the trades. So that is defining who you serve. The specialist is what you do for your clients. For your clients, maybe for them, what you do is you are able to set up certain processes for them. You do forensic accounting for them. You are able to do job costing so they have better insights when they're putting a bid out for a job. So those are some of the things to think about is what you might be a specialist in. And you could have either one or you could have both. For me, I actually have both. So who I serve is firm owners. And what I do is I help you with your pricing, your sales, and working with better clients. So you have a firm that supports your life instead of one that drains the life out of you. So once again, if you're looking to move away from a generalist, look at whether you want to have a specialty, which is what you do. Then you could be working with a wide range of professionals in different industries, or you could be working with a particular industry, and that would be your niche.
And one more thing about that, Lauren, by narrowing your focus, from a generalist to an expert, you're actually making it easier for you to stand out and also giving you the opportunity to charge more.
That was actually my experience too. And I want to just ask, now that you brought it up, I think it's great to ask in the chat. I'll put it in there. What's been your experience with marketing and communicating your value once you decided to go into a niche? Did you see a difference once you actually chose a particular niche or specialty? And would love for you to be able to share that in the chat. Anyway, thank you so much for that, Steve.
Sure. So this is a question that many accounting firms wonder about. What if I'm not sure about what niche to choose or niche to choose? What do you recommend?
Well, once again, I'm drawing from a lot of my own experience that I had going through this process, as well as the work that I've done with my business coaches. And what I have found is in the beginning, I didn't know who I wanted to work with. I worked with a very wide range of different professionals and industries. What I realized is this was like peeling the onion. I had to first define who I didn't want to work with. And I realized over time that certain industries were not a good fit for me. The other thing I realized was certain personalities weren't a good fit for me either. And I'll be very forward about that. I don't work well with whiners. So the people who complain, and they're blaming everybody, and they bounce from one person to another person to another person to help them. And they talk about how nobody gave them results and they're throwing everybody under the bus. I didn't want to be one of those people. So I find that there's some people who are wedded to their problems and they talk about wanting to change, but they're actually not willing to do the work to make that happen. So those people are not a great fit for me. On the other hand, what I did see is that there were other people that they still might not know what they want, but they just need the guidance on how to do that. And so once again, it was figuring out first who I didn't want to work with, the industries as well as the personality types, because we all find that there's some people that we have more synergy with that, and others just rub us the wrong way. So first, peel back the layer, come up with a hit list of what industries or what personality types are not a good fit for you. And then what you want to do on the other side of it is think about who might be a good fit for you. And once again, this is something that occurred over time. As you work with more and more people, you get insights. Maybe it is that you really enjoy doing certain things for a particular type of industry. It could be that you just love the job costing and the personality of people that are in construction, or possibly that you work really well with people in health and wellness, that you are very interested in the restaurant and hospitality industry. So think about, the things that those particular types of segments need or verticals, and are they a good fit for you? And then the other part of it, the personality type. Who is it that you work with that is a joy to work with? If you were able to clone that client and work with that type of person all day, every day, it would just be a delight for you. Now, I want to give you an advanced move that I discovered. When you're thinking about who your ideal client is, and I'm not talking about the industry, I'm talking about the personality part of it, that person is either just like you in characteristics and personality type, or they are the opposite of you. And think about who your favorite client is. Is that client maybe similar in personality type, or is that person maybe the opposite of you? And just think about that. So once again, I'm just curious about you. Are your clients just like you in personality, or are they the opposite of you? And please go ahead and share that in the chat. I'm interested in hearing more about that and what your experience has been.
Well, if accounting professionals no longer want to work with everyone, how do they start to define their high-value clients?
Well, there's two things to consider. The most obvious one that we hear about over again is demographics. Demographics is your education level, your marital status, where you live, your profession. It's really the obvious things about a person. And the other part is psychographics. I have found that psychographics are actually more important than demographics. The reason why I say that is because you might find that you like a particular industry and doing the work for that particular industry, but it might be that not every personality type in that industry is a good fit for you. And as a result of that, we want to make sure that it's not just about the type of industry that you're serving, but it's also about having a good personality match, because you deserve to have dream clients. And I believe that you ought to, even from the very beginning, be very selective about who you allow or invite into working with you and your firm, because it might be in the short term you could benefit from the income from that person, but I'm going to let you know that down the line, those low value clients actually drive out high value clients, because they take up more of your time. They're more demanding. They want to pay as low rates as possible, but they want exceptions, and they want them without any extra charges or consideration. So they want you to make a lot of allowances for them, but they're not making allowances for you and the fact that you are a professional. So once again, You want to think about absolutely the demographics, but I don't think demographics care as much as the personality type and knowing what qualities someone has that makes someone a good fit for you. And Rachel was saying that out of her two clients, they are both the opposite in personality than she is. So kudos to you to having that awareness, Rachel.
Lauren, what else do accounting professionals need to consider as they define their quality client and as they develop their niche?
Something to think about is getting away from focusing on the technical aspects of what you do, because anybody around the globe can have that same level of technical proficiency. What you want to do to start grabbing the attention of those quality clients is realizing that business owners, they have a lot on their plate. When they are coming to you, it's because something grabbed their attention, where all of a sudden engaging the services of an accounting professional is now a priority or has reached the top of their list. And some of the things you want to think about is whether they are coming to you because there's some type of problem or pain going on, or are they coming to you because they are looking to move or grow or advance in a certain direction. I will let you know, as adults, we're more motivated by pain than we are by potential. 75% of the people coming to you will come to you because there's some type of problem. And just once again, what are the challenges that people come to you for when they originally reach out to you? And feel free to go ahead and put that in the chat as well. So what are the common reasons why people are first coming to you? Maybe they got notice from the IRS that they're going to be audited and now they need to get their financials in place. It's possible that they're just starting up their business and they want to start it up correctly with their bookkeeping and their tax responsibilities. Another one is that possibly they are looking to expand and need to have the financials in place for a line of credit or a loan. And there are a variety of things. So those are some things to think about, is that most of the clients will have some type of problem. Possibly they've been doing the accounting themselves and they no longer have the time or capacity to do that, or they got a big penalty because they didn't get their taxes paid in time, and then they ended up with a surprise tax bill they couldn't pay, and now they're paying the price for it after the fact and never want to do that again. So Adrienne said they usually need their books cleaned up for taxes. And then Patricia said she loves supporting startups so they get started on the right foot. Melissa says fast growth and need to upgrade accounting. So those are something. Michelle said that with her clients, it might be that they had a loss, and as a result, they are a trustee and need to have some insights as to how that works. So those are some of the things to think about, is what is the problem that you solve for your clients. This is where you might start to become aware of you offering a specialty. If people come to you for the same thing over and over and over again, and that's what you're solving for their clients, for your clients, then you might have a specialty that is hidden from you. And we want to go ahead and bring it up to the surface so that you can take advantage of that and be able to use it as a way to grab attention. Some of the things as you move in this direction you want to think about as you're considering how to niche your accounting firm and be more profitable is, first of all, instead of trying to appeal to what they call an avatar in marketing, where it's making up this ideal client, whether it is your ideal partner, we think about all these ideals, but then we realize that we're missing out on the part that actually make them real and human. So I don't want you to come up with an avatar of all the perfections of someone, because they have flaws also, even your best clients. So think about instead, who is your favorite client that you enjoy working with, and think about that particular person. Now, as you are thinking about that particular person, we're thinking about a real person. What are 3 of the qualities that that person possesses that you really find are something that are a good fit for you. It's synergistic. It makes you enjoy working with them. So think about that. And also, once again, think about what is the primary problem that you are able to solve for that particular client. Those are some of the questions that start to, once again, peel away the onion and give you insights as to who it is you want to be working with. And maybe, and once you become aware of that, you might find that there's a certain industry that has a whole bunch of people just like that. And that was part of my experience too, is I became very aware of the personality type, which happens to be opposite of mine. And then I started looking for which were those businesses that I tend to work with a lot that attracts that particular account, that particular personality type. And that is where I found that I was on a mission to help firm owners. When I first met Justin, he was a generalist working with everybody, and it was all very regional and local, the work that he did as a tax preparer and CPA. And what we did is we started to figure out who it was that he works with and what he was able to do for them. When we were doing this work, he lives in Oregon, and this is right when cannabis was starting to become more acceptable in the state, and they had medical marijuana. And then they started go from medical marijuana to having dispensaries where people could go into the dispensary to be able to purchase cannabis. And then it became recreational. So he was right in the beginning of that and really enjoyed working with that industry, because in Oregon, there were a lot of people already in the industry. They were just off the grid. They were doing it in a very quiet way because it wasn't legal whatsoever, even though it was still a very profitable business. And being able to help these particular businesses go from being off the grid in the dark into being now within the legal limits of having a real business that was recognized within the state was navigating a whole new way of doing business for them. And the other part of it is that the laws on September 30th could actually change and be totally different on October 1st. And that was navigating a whole process where things were being made up on sometimes a day-to-day basis with this particular industry. So by being able to focus on the cannabis industry right in the beginning and helping those businesses set up their businesses correctly to where it was going to be compliant with the state and navigate the federal parts of it also, he was able to stand out, define what he does and what he was able to do for that particular type of business owner. As a result of that, his firm skyrocketed, and he was able to actually pay down his debt within 4 months instead of 5 years. And part of what he did during the first 2 years of us working together as well is he was also able to go ahead and purchase the building that his firm was in, which was very, very significant to him. So just think about that for you. If you were able to really narrow in on who you serve, what you do, how you were able to communicate that value in order to attract that higher value client to you, how would that make a difference for you and your firm? What could you do with that cash influx that you're not able to do yet?
And Lauren, the other thing about the cannabis industry at that time was that they couldn't use banks. So everything was cash. I mean, some of them had like these warehouses just full with cash because they couldn't put it anyplace.
Actually, there's a lot of that that's still true.
Oh, I'm sure.
Banking and payroll can be very, very difficult when you're a cash-only business.
Oh, yeah, totally. We're going to move forward. We're going to be looking at communicating your value. But before we do that, we have our next poll question. So, do you confidently communicate your value? It's something I struggle with. There's room for improvement. I've mastered my message, or yeah, it's something I struggle with. There's room for improvement. I mastered my message. And Lauren, I know there's lots of stuff happening in the chat, which is great. And I don't know if you saw any questions come in, but I do have one that recently came in. So I have some of those headache clients you mentioned. Any suggestions about how to deal with them?
Well, I think the first thing to look at is I don't want you burning out, because then your business is not sustainable. You are running ragged, and that those headache clients require more time, energy, and effort than the quality clients do. So that, and sometimes your biggest paying client is also the biggest headache client or low value client that you have. That is something to realize as well. If you are looking to make some changes or wondering how to deal with this, is first of all, I believe that you need to put some things in place that are protective of you and create some boundaries and be able to have that conversation with someone. If this is someone that you feel is coachable and you want to continue working with in your firm, then you need to have a conversation with that person. And also think about it. If you had a troubled employee, you would probably put them on suspension for about 90 days to be able to see if they were able to get their act together or not. Do that with your clients. If you have a troubled client, you can put them on suspension for 90 days to see if they're able to get their act together or not. And you might not want to wait 90 days to see if they are willing to make some changes and have them stick. The other part is that if you decide that this client is no longer fit for your firm, then you might want to do what I call one in, one out. When a new client comes in that's a better fit for you, you want to then go ahead and let go of this current client that is your headache. So those are some things to think about when you are dealing with some headache clients that you're not sure if you want to keep or not.
But once again, do you confidently communicate your value? It's something I struggle with, is actually 64%. There's room for improvement, 36%. I've mastered my message is 0%. Well, demographics and psychographics, they're really, really helpful, especially the psychographics. Are there other factors that most accounting professionals, they really overlook this when they're choosing their niche?
This is something that I became aware of in 2020 when COVID all of a sudden changed the way that everybody was doing business. It changed brick and mortar businesses more impact than businesses that were virtual. However, everybody was impacted in one way or another. And what I realized was that the way to be able to start to stand out and differentiate yourself from other firms is to really talk about, once again, being recession proof. As you know, even if it's not COVID, the economy continues to go up and down. It is never going to be steady. There's always going to be highs and lows, fluctuations. And you want to think about, as you're considering a particular niche, is that particular niche recession proof, or is it adaptable if there is a change in the economy? Some of the things to consider as you are looking at these different industries is location. Is this business going to be a brick and mortar business where it is very geographical and regional, or is it a virtual business? That is one thing to think about, because virtual businesses have more flexibility, are able to adapt more than ones that might be more regionally constrained. The next one, is it a business that is unneeded? This is where you're thinking about the luxury services that might occur, such as tourism is something that changes drastically when there might be a slowdown in the economy. So once again, that is something to think about. The third thing is impacted. These are businesses that will be impacted if there is a change in the economy. However, they will go ahead and bounce back. Something that industry for that might be in the trades, or it could be a business that has to do with transportation, where initially there might be some impact, but it will go ahead and eventually bounce back. The fourth one is businesses that are unaffected. It doesn't matter what the economy is. These businesses are these businesses are necessities, and people are using them all the time. What comes to mind for me would be grocery stores. And then the last one is businesses that are resistant proof. Whether the economy is strong or it's a weak economy, these businesses are steady no matter what. The one that comes to mind for me mainly is going to be the medical profession, whether it's physicians or dentists. Those businesses tend to be pretty steady throughout the highs and the lows. So those are some things to think about as you're looking at moving forward with a particular niche, is what are the qualities or the criteria and where do they fit as far as these 5 criteria when you're considering them. The more luxury ones are definitely going to be impacting your revenues if there's a dip in the economy, whereas the ones that are more resistant proof will go ahead and have you continue being steady no matter what the economy is.
Well, Lauren, as you gain expertise in your niche, you really add value that really extends beyond basic accounting. Can you give an example of how you can help either adapt a client or recession-proof their business?
Well, I think that once again, talking about recession-proofing anybody's business is something that will grab attention, especially with someone who is more savvy as far as being a business owner, as opposed to someone that is in their business, but they really don't understand how business work. And they might be more of what I call an accidental entrepreneur. They never intended to be a business owner. They became one, and they don't really understand how cash flow and the numbers work in their business. So if you're thinking about someone who is more savvy, then you want to really look at ways to be able to communicate how you can protect them no matter what's going on in the economy. This is talking to them about how you can go ahead and improve their cash flow, looking at setting up some budget or some reserves. So no matter what, they are able to remain operational without stressing out for maybe 3 months because you were able to help them put that additional monies away in the bank. And I believe that this would also apply to people that are not quite as business savvy, but it might take a little bit longer or more education to be able to help them understand how something maybe down the road in the future could be impacting them when they might be more focused on their immediate needs. The other thing to look at is, could you set up a disaster account for your clients and really have that extra budget or monies pushed aside so that once again, they are able to have some type of cash flow going on through the highs as well as the lows. So that's something to think about that might separate you from other firm owners. It's not just talking about the obvious immediate needs of a client, but also looking at how to future-proof their business.
Well, accounting professionals, they're really uniquely qualified to help business owners. Let's talk about, how to be seen as an expert in this industry.
Well, there's 2 ways to think about that. One is by how you position your service. So that would be the marketing part of it, how you're communicating what you do, how you're focusing on things that matter most to your clients, and moving away from discussing mainly the compliance after the fact or technical aspects of what you do. So you want to focus more on the problems that you solve. And then the other part of it is really looking at the way that firms are moving now towards the future is by bringing in CAS services. So doing consulting and advisory services is really what a lot of business owners are interested in. They're not looking at just the bookkeeping part of it, but they want to have those insights as they're moving forward and making decisions based on the financials. So think about the industry that you work with, and there's some KPIs or key performance indicators that apply to all businesses, and then there are some that are unique to that particular industry. For example, with construction, they need insights into job costing as well as productivity. If we are talking about the healthcare sector, they're working with health insurance companies and third-party billing. They need some insights on invoicing as well as collections. Also, we are then we're going over to restaurants and hospitality where there is seasonality. There might be some fraud prevention if they're still taking cash in their particular establishment, and also inventory management. So once again, be aware of what are the specific insights and how you can help them use the numbers to make better decisions in their business moving forward in order to be able to increase their cash flow as well as their profit margin. And something to think about as you're concerning how to do this is it's basically what I call connect the dots, where you want to step into your client's shoes and look at things from their point of view instead of your point of view when you're looking at working together. Because for you, you are focused on the workflow, how much time something takes, and being compliant. With your clients, they care more about you resolving a need or a challenge for them, or helping them, as I mentioned before, doing something that is growth oriented and aspirational. That means when you are first meeting with them, whether this is a current client that you want to go ahead and maybe expand the scope of services and increase the prices that you're charging them, or it is a new client coming to you, you want to be able to understand what are the challenges that are going on for that particular business owner right now that is top of mind for them, that is a priority. And then the next thing you want to do is educate them about how you might help them address those challenges in order for them to no longer feel stuck, be frustrated that they're not moving forward at a faster pace, or that they're not getting the results that they want. By being able to understand their challenges and then educating them about the strategies, they now see the value of engaging your firm's services, or if they're already a current client, being able to expand the scope of work and paying a higher fee because the fact that they see you as someone that is a team member focusing on something future focused. And that is really the key here. The more that you can tap into something that is future focused is going to be a way that differentiates your firm compared to one that is focusing on the tasks and the compliance side of accounting. When I first connected with Lillian, she had two particular industries that she worked with. One was attorneys, and then one was dentists. And she was straddling both of them. And what we realized was that she wasn't really focusing on her value enough. She was talking more about the tasks and the time and charging an hourly rate, sending out invoices after the fact. What we started to do is really look at how to be able to bring the advisory services into her firm and working with her particular clients. She decided to really focus on the dentist and not work with the law firms moving forward. So she developed that specialty. And as a result of that, she was able to find the way to show them that by doing cleanup projects, were not an isolated problem, but instead they were part of a bigger solution in the financial picture of that particular business owner's business and operations. By being able to explain to them how having accurate, up-to-date books makes a difference for that particular business owner, specifically dentists, and how she was able to then be able to move forward and use the numbers to help them make better decisions with their dentistry practice. She was positioning herself as an advisor, not a technician. As a result of that, she got to the point where the minimum for a cleanup project was $10,000. Even if it wasn't a full year of cleanup, she was charging a minimum of $10,000 for the project because she was focusing on how that was part of a solution towards something else that they wanted and cared about. And as a result, they couldn't move forward without having their books up to date and accurate. So just think about how that would make a difference for you if you started to move away from the technical part of cleaning up someone's books and explaining to them how it is part of a bigger financial solution. And then part of what we did together is we came up with packages, and the packages were for the dental practices on how to be able to work with her, depending on the type of dental practice that they had. So she had a basic, a pro, and a premium. And once again, she can meet with someone, she can explain the different packages and how which one might be a best fit for them. At this point, as well as moving forward, they might be able to then aspire or move up to the next level package with her. So once again, she got away from just focusing on the compliance, the technical part, and started moving in the direction of being an advisor and a specialist, helping these dental practices with managing the cash flow in their business, as well as increasing their profit margin and how to be able to how to be able to use the financials to reduce their tax responsibilities also and put more of it away in investments.
Well, Lauren, that's great. I really love the fact that she was able to do that. I mean, that's pretty good. So we're going to be looking at client attraction. But before we do that, we have our next poll question. Which best describes your firm? We do generalized services. We specialize and solve a specific problem. We've defined a niche. We have a niche and a specialty. Once again, which best describes your firm? We have generalized services. We specialize and solve a specific problem. We've defined a niche, or we have a specialty and a niche. And Lauren, do you want to go and close this off pretty quick? Because I know we got a resource to get into at some point.
Absolutely. And Laura said she loves the idea of packages. Excellent. And I'm going to close the poll, and I'm going to just see, Rich, I know you're here. Are you able to unmute yourself or join us?
Yes, I'm here.
I so appreciate that, Rich. Just because Laura was talking about packages and we just did that together, can you explain a little bit about what that experience was and how you're starting to look at things a little bit differently as far as the packages go?
Sure. So we focused pretty much on bookkeeping and accounting packages, and we were able to really identify, let's say, a core minimum that a client needs to receive, and then we would escalate it more to like bookkeeping, accounting, almost CFO services type of thing. But as we were going through the conversation, there were so many other things that came up, and it was clear that that's a value that, frankly, I'm just giving away for free, that if we identify it with the client, then they'll recognize that's a value that they're getting, which is worth their investment.
And Rich, one other question about that is, as we were going through this, what did you become aware of regarding the value of the services that you do for your clients regarding the bookkeeping side?
Well, one of the big things is that I could really delegate that to my staff more than myself doing it, and that it leveraged our assets in terms of human resources so that I could utilize my time better. It also helped me understand my capacity, what capacity we really have, to do this work, and how to plan cash flow and growth.
I appreciate that. I have one more question. So when it came to the part where we were looking at the pricing for your services, any insights or any changes you made based on that conversation?
Yeah, I mean, so I used to say if I price something and I feel good, I'm probably underpricing it. So I came into the approach trying to price it higher, and I would say that we ended up doubling or tripling some of those numbers. And frankly, after talking through it, I felt very confident that value would be there and that I would be able to do my best to get those prices.
I so appreciate you sharing that. This was not planned, anybody. I'm just like calling that on the spot because we just went through that. So thank you so much for sharing that, Rich.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Lauren, do you want to share a little bit about, I know that you and Rich had a half-day session yesterday when you actually worked with him for 4 hours, 3 hours, I guess. Would you share a little bit about that? Do your clients get that benefit from you?
Oh, well, thank you for calling me out on that, Steve. Yeah, basically, one of the things that I see is that there's a lot of talk about value pricing, and there are people that are aware of it before we start working together, and maybe they've tried it themselves, but they haven't really gotten the results. And one of the things that I do with my clients, which was what Rich was referring to, is I actually create the packages with you so that it's more templated for you, and it creates boundaries and protects you as far as avoiding now having scope creep happen where you're doing more work without getting compensated. And also with value pricing, I am pricing the services with you so that you know where your minimum threshold ought to be, and you don't end up giving it away any longer. Plus, there's things that you are currently doing for free that are of high value to your clients, and you're not getting compensated for it, and you ought to. And we're bringing those into the packages as well for you to receive compensation for the difference that you make for your clients. So I appreciate you calling me out on that, Steve. So let's go back to giving.
Sure. So which describes your firm? Generalized services is 50%. We specialize and solve a specific problem is 25%. We've defined a niche is 17%. And we have a niche and we also have a specialty. And Lauren, I know before we get into the final section, and I can see it up on the screen, that we have a particular resource, and why don't you share that with them?
Basically, this is going to be the notes for the next section on how to be able to attract high value clients to your firm in order to be more selective about who you're working with, people that are not as price sensitive. They respond to your communications, being very intentional. If that is something that appeals to you, I put it in the chat as well. The resource is at businesssuccesssolution.com/attract.
Well, we're now ready to discuss attracting high value clients. And how do you find preeminence? I actually love that word. And how does that word preeminence actually fit in?
Well, preeminence actually means surpassing all others. And it might not be in everything, but you have something where you shine, where your zone of genius is, where you are the absolute go-to person. And I don't want that to remain hidden. I want you to be shining with that and really have that be what you are known for. And really, the word preeminence to me sounds rich, spiritual. It is something that is up-leveling as far as being able to position yourself that way. And what I'll do is go through the 5 steps on how to be able to attract those quality clients as we're in this section. But once again, think about where you shine, where your zone of genius is, and being able to find those right words to communicate that. And the very first thing you want to think about is empathy. Empathy is where you care about your clients and your clients know that you care about that. It comes through loud and clear. And being a client-centered firm actually is a great investment because research shows that people who realize that your firm is client-centered are willing to pay more than if they feel that your firm is a little bit more transactional. So that is something to think about. And I want to take a moment because we actually have time. Rachel, do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question? So Rachel has as her question, she has a niche and she also has package prices with that niche in mind. But what would she do if someone from another type of industry is interested in working with her? That this is my feeling, Rachel, is that forward facing, you get known for that particular niche or that particular industry. It actually makes it so much easier as far as marketing goes and knowing where to put your efforts and your energy. However, if someone comes to you that is outside of your niche, and you feel like you have the capacity or the interest, then I would say have a conversation with that person. And if it feels like someone that you want to work with, you are absolutely able to make that decision to engage that client's services. So I want to say forward facing, go ahead and be really focused on who your particular niche is, but this is your business. You get to make the rules. So if someone comes to you that's outside your niche, then you can make a decision as to whether you want to work with that person or not. So great question. Once again, it shows how you don't have to be boxed in just because you choose a niche or a specialty. It just makes it easier to get out there and get known for something. But if people come to you outside of that niche, then it's a decision as a firm owner whether you want to work with that person or not. So once again, let's go back to this with empathy. If anybody else has any questions, please let me know. Would love to be able to help you get those insights. But being client-centered is something that differentiates you from your firm. The next thing to consider is the experience. You want to think about, from a client's point of view, what is it like working with you? Are you accessible? Can they ask you questions and you quickly respond to them? Maybe the clients that you work with have financial shame and they want to be financially savvy, and they ask you some very basic elementary questions, and they might be a little bit embarrassed about that, but you are able to teach them and really give them an answer that they can understand and start to get some insights as to how the finances work within their business. And you can do that in a very respectful way where they don't feel any guilt whatsoever because they don't really understand how the money works in their business. So think about what that client experience is, because we've all had it where we've worked with some businesses, and one is very client-centered, and then the other one is more transactional. And I'm just going to say nobody wants to be a transaction. The next thing to look at is how you educate your clients. This is where you want to understand what is it that is top of mind for them. And there's three different things to consider, and they are complementary, but sometimes we think they're the same, that they're not. You want to understand their needs, their wants, and their desires. The needs are the essentials that are required to be operational and be compliant. The wants are the things that they know they ought to have in place. However, they either don't have the time capacity to do it themselves, or they don't have the insights, the expertise, or the tools to be able to make this happen. But it would be really meaningful if they were able to start putting this thing in place. So those are the wants. And the desires are future focused. I believe that that is the sweet spot for any firm owner. If you can connect your services to helping your clients with something that's future focused for them, then your value increases and those clients are not going to be as price sensitive. So once again, think about what it is that's important to your clients and how you can help them to achieve that result. And some of the things to think about with your clients that maybe they want to be more financially savvy about is cash flow. Do they need to understand how the money works in their business? Because I have seen business owners that have really solid 6- and even 7-figure businesses, and they have no idea how the money works in their business. And you wonder how they got there. But because of the fact that they have a 6- and 7-figure business doesn't mean that they're profitable. And by having you as a resource, you can help them have healthier cash flow as well as improve their profit margin. So that is something to think about. Business owners just think about the top line so often. They very rarely think about the bottom line, but it's the bottom line that makes a difference. So that is something to think about where you can educate them. The next part is budgeting, because a lot of them, let's just face it, they get the reports from you, they look at the balance today in their bank account, and they're like, how come those two numbers don't match up? And they don't understand, once again, how cash flow works in their business. So if they're looking at being able to not hope that an invoice is paid so they can make payroll, because that's stressful, or they want to have an expansion and think that they need to do it in 2 years out, but you can help them with budgeting so they can do it actually 1 year out, which would be a huge significant difference, then that is something that you can educate them on. Once again, that goes into forecasting for expansion and how to be able to not just look at where the business is today, but working with them to where they want their business to be tomorrow. Tax planning, so that they are able to avoid penalties, they avoid end-of-year tax stress, and also they are able to maybe keep more money in their pocket because they have some insights as to how the money works, how taxes work, and they can go ahead and make some investments or put towards their retirement fund as opposed to paying a higher tax bill. And then the last thing is business deductions. And as soon as I think of business deductions, the first thing that comes to mind is commingling personal with business and separating that, because that is just bad business behavior. It is a first red flag that they don't really understand how the business works at all, and it puts them at risk in ways that they are not aware of. So understanding business deductions, what is allowable, what's not allowable, as well as, just because they wear like fashion and they want to wear the newest fashions at the office doesn't mean that they can take it as a uniform expense, right? So how does the business deductions work? And also being able to avoid commingling by having separation of business and personal. So those are some of the things where you can actually add value. And even though these things might be elementary to you, you can do them in your sleep. Your clients are not as financially savvy as you are, and they need to be educated about this. The next thing to think about is engage. With engage, and I know I'm going over, so I apologize for that, but I'm wrapping up, so please just stick with me a couple more minutes. With engage, you want to be able to think at how to get out there. Some of the ways that I get out there is by networking, whether it is virtual or in person. I love to speak, just like I'm doing now, sharing information and content as a way to add value. Another thing is that I contribute articles on other websites such as Intuit's Firm of the Future, Accounting Web, Accounting Today. So I'm putting, I do LinkedIn Lives also. And then the last one is, I can't see it right now, also referrals and being able to create referral partnerships as well as receiving word of mouth referrals from other business owners or clients. So that's something to think about. But one of the things to think about with Engage that I think will have you stand apart, but it might feel risky, is figure out what is something that feels like common knowledge out there, and you know that there is a better way. And when you hear this common knowledge thing, it just makes you crazy. For example, anybody that has a QBO subscription can do bookkeeping. You know, they're doing bookkeeping at their level. They're not doing it as an accounting level, which we actually had as a group call with all my clients this morning, that that is not something that is actually accurate. Just because they have access to a subscription doesn't mean that they're doing it accurately. So once again, think about what is your rant. If when you hear about this, it just makes you crazy. And that is something that you want to get known for. For an example, my rant is that charging an hourly rate, charging for your time, creates a tug of war between you and your clients because they want you to work as quickly as possible, to pay as little as possible, and you're not incentivized. In fact, as you gain expertise or you add technology, which improves efficiency, you are being punished for that. So once again, that is my rant, is about the hourly rate, creates a tug of war with you and your clients. It's unfair to everybody, and we need to move away from that. I would love for you to think about your rant. And if you have one, drop it in the chat. And the last one is being that go-to expert. What do you want to get known for? Do you want to get known for solving a specific problem or for helping people that are in a specific industry with the financials? So that is the, oh, and even if you're an introvert, you can still be go-to expert. I want to let you know that I'm actually more of an introvert than an extrovert, what I call an ambivert. So I'm right on the cusp. I can turn it on when I need to, but after all, I'm exhausted and I don't want to any longer. So think about, even if you're an introvert, you can look at creating referral relationships with people who work with similar clients as you and be known as the go-to expert in that community and that circle. So with Rihanna, she was a generalist working with everybody. We went ahead and made that change for her, going away from that because she would be missing weekend sports with her family or putting the kids to bed at night and then going back and do some additional client work because she was a people pleaser and said yes to everybody and everything. So if somebody called her with an emergency during the day, she was taking care of that emergency immediately. And then she had to finish out the things that were planned for that day in order to not get too far behind. What we did is we focused on the restaurant industry for her because she had 20 years experience at a corporate level in the restaurant business. And then we created silver, gold, and platinum packages for her that was specific to them. She knew with restaurants, they need inventory management. They need some things in place for the ones that still take a lot of cash and prone to fraud, and also their seasonality. So there's ebbs and flows in their cash flow, and she can help them with that as well as budgeting too. So think about if you were able to create the packages that focused on a particular industry and the needs for the different businesses at different places, how would that make a difference for you?
Well, Lauren, what we covered today was actually looking at your profitable niche, communicating your value, and client attraction. And we do have our last poll question, Lauren.
Oh, you know, we're skipping that poll, Steve. Let's just be
We're skipping
respectful
that
of
poll.
time.
We're gonna move right on to looking at a strategy session, Lauren. So, you really shared a lot, and I know that we're kind of wrapping up, and now I think a lot of them can get started. But I think that there are some who don't want to do it on their own. What do you recommend for our listeners who are ready to define their niche and attract those high-value clients?
And first of all, I just want to say I so appreciate you taking time away from working in your business. We went a little bit over today because I got really passionate about wanting to make sure that you had your questions answered and you were joining me here to work on your business, getting those insights. So thank you so much for doing that. If you feel you got value, you're ready to actually make this happen in your firm where you want to be able to work with high quality clients, be able to communicate your value and increase your rates, then let's go ahead and have a path to profit strategy session. It is complimentary. I wanted this to be a dedicated conversation about you and your firm and where you want to go. It does have a $500 value though. So if you feel you would like to talk further about how to get started with this, go to businesssuccesssolution.com/let's talk, and we can get that set up. And the link is in the chat as well. I simply wanted to say thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate your time for taking time away from working in your business to be here, getting those advanced moves and insights to raise the bar as far as who you work with and having a business that supports your lifestyle instead of one that drains the life out of you. Talk to you soon. Bye.